So, good morning. Welcome to Hip and Heart Opening Yoga. This morning on Facebook, I posted one of my favorite quotes that I'd like to share as we begin this practice today. And it's actually feeling kind of symbolic to me because I'm in a new space today. This is a space that I haven't been teaching from. And that feels both a little unfamiliar, but also kind of exciting to me. And I like to use that as an analogy of our practice today, of what we can open ourselves up to. So, the quote that I posted is by Anias Nin, and it is this: "The time came when the risk it took to remain tight in a bud was greater than the risk it took to blossom." And the time came when the risk it took to remain tight in a bud was greater than the risk it took to blossom. And it feels like to me that for almost 4 months now, we have all been very tight in a bud, much like, winter into spring. We've been like this, secluded in our homes, hiding behind our masks, protecting ourselves. And while it's probably still wise to protect ourselves, it feels to me like it might be time to open our hearts a little bit and to come out of this shell of fear and I know for me, maybe judgment of the way other people are coming out of their shell. So I'd like that to be our focus today. So we'll start in a seated position, and I'd like to ask you to make two fists. Do this with the kids in school. And as we do that, just you're comfortable however you're seated, I want you to squeeze your fist as tightly as you can till you feel your fingernails digging into your palms. Right? And that might be how we've felt lately: restricted, constrained, tight. So let's breathe in and squeeze our hands tight. And as we exhale, let's just soften and open up the grip of our hands. And we'll do that a few times. We'll inhale to squeeze and exhale to soften the grip and open our hands. So let that gesture, that movement be symbolic. And let your whole body just begin to feel this idea of maybe it's not a whole opening. Maybe we're not ready to run out skipping into the streets again. But maybe it's a hint of opening because I don't like the way this feels to be tight in the bud any longer. I don't like what it feels to be against and fearful. I enjoy the feeling of a soft opening. So with that as our backdrop, let's go ahead and come to child's pose on our mats. If you do have blocks today, I'd like you to have those handy. We'll be using those for some of our poses. So you can grab a block or a pillow or a bolster now. Tiffany, can you hear music? Okay. In this child's pose, start to feel your breath moving into the back of your body. Tight in a bud, and just starting to feel the first hints of breath moving into the back body. Allow that sensation in your back to create a little bit of movement. So maybe it's inhaling to lift up an inch or so and exhaling to press the hips back and down. Maybe your body is enjoying more a shift from side to side as you start to work these first few breaths around into the back of your body. We'll get warmed up today, and then we'll be holding postures longer with this intention to just feel opening, feel space, feel expansion. And as we hold these poses, I will be asking you just some simple questions. And the first question is this: how can I open myself to this moment? How can I open myself to this moment? Ease your way up to a tabletop position with hands and knees stacked under your hips and shoulders. Adjust anything that you need to, and then just begin a very slow, deliberate cat and cow. The inhale opens the front of the body, and the exhale moves into the back of the body. How can I open myself to this moment? Bring your hands forward a little bit more. And then as you come into that inhale, let your hips sink and your belly lift and your chest lift. And then exhale, press back towards child's pose. And let's do that a few times. Inhale to extend the spine. Exhale to flex up the hips and pull back. And opening ourselves to this moment, we need to notice anything that is pulling us away from this moment. Any desire to be anywhere else, or any desire for something to be different than it is in this moment. As we come back, we'll tuck our toes and pause here to just stretch the underside of your toes, the arches of your feet. Notice that sensation, like an opening of just one petal of a bud. And then let's slowly peel up into a downward facing dog. Take your time. Knees straightening slowly, heels reaching down. And then deepen breath as you begin movement here, pedaling your heels. This is a familiar action. Nod your head, sway your body. And we'll slowly take a walk to the top of our mat. Feet coming to meet the hands. Fingertips walking to the right side and the left side of the feet, starting to catch a glimpse of the outer legs. And as we come back to center, let's slide our fingers to the backs of our legs and gently pull ourselves down. Bend and straighten the knees. Starting to find a little wake-up call for the hamstrings. How can I open myself to this moment? What do I notice that is pulling me away from now? Pressing hands to shins, let's lift and lengthen through the crown of the head. Low belly nice and strong. And then with knees bent, let's sweep the arms behind us, airplane. Interlace the fingers, opening the chest, and let's dive the head down into a little more sensational posture. Deepening the breath, feeling shoulders now, chest and back. Just let gravity pull your arms forward more, your head down more. Exhale even longer. And as we release our hands, let's bend the knees, scoop the hands across the floor and rise up high. Extended mountain. Come into a little back bend. Beautiful. Exhale, arms behind your body. Interlace the fingers. Open the chest. Breathe in. Breathe out and dive forward. And we'll do that one 2 more times. So bend the knees, scoop the arms up and back. Exhale, hands behind the body, interlace the fingers. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, dive down. Bend the knees, scoop the arms up. That just feels too good. We'll go again, back bend. Arms behind, interlace. Open on an inhale. Nice. And then topple forward. Exhale. Allow your fingertips to come to the floor. Heel toe your feet a little bit wider, so your toes are just turned out, maybe pointing just off the edges of your mat. And then with fingers on the floor, let's bend deeply and straighten the legs. Let's just take a couple of these nice little squats. Moving slowly, drawing attention to the hips, maybe the inner thighs. And releasing to a forward fold, we'll heel toe the feet back together. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Sweeping the arms up, extended mountain. And let's bring our hands to heart center. So we'll flow through a few sun salutations, which is always our best way to get warm and to move the body. Allow these to be like a moving meditation. Just peeling open gradually. Arms reach high, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank pose, knees or toes. Spin the elbows and lower halfway down, chaturanga. Lowering the body to the earth, peel up into cobra, or you can lift to upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. And in down dog, you can find stillness, or you can continue to move through your feet and your hips. One more breath here. And on the exhale, look forward, step or float the feet to the hands. Half lift to forward fold. Arms reach, inhale, find your back bend and draw your hands to your heart. That's one sun salutation. Let's go again. Inhale, reach. Exhale, forward fold. Half lift, breathe in. Down dog, big breath out, maybe an audible exhale. And then we'll take vinyasa. You can come forward on your toes or your knees. Pull through to cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. Either finding stillness or movement. How can I open myself to this moment? Looking forward, step or float the feet to the hands, half lift and forward fold. Sweep the arms high, inhale, and come back to the heart. We'll go one more time for warm up. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, back, down dog, and take a vinyasa on your knees or your toes. As you come up, pause with a deep breath in and send your hips back. Down dog. Stillness or movement, your choice. We'll meet at the top of our mat. Feet come to hands, lifting halfway. Exhale to fold. Arms reach high. Find that back bend. And just slowly draw your hands to your heart. And we're just going to pause right here with thumbs touching the sternum. Just to check in. What pulls for my attention right now other than this breath? This standing here? What checklist is more important than my time for myself? And can I consciously open myself to this moment? It's hard. It's hard to stay here. Stay here. All the magic happens here and now, always. Let's sink the hips down, dropping into the heels. Arms reach high, Utkatasana, chair pose. So sometimes when the attention is drawn away, we have to get a little more fierce and intentional about being present. So chair pose offers this. Maybe flat feet, maybe being up on your toes. How can you get your own attention? Good. Exhale, come all the way down. Forward fold. Hands come to the back of the heels. Give yourself a little deeper stretch. A little more attention to the back of the body. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, downward facing dog. And it's your choice from here on out if you'd like to stay here or flow through vinyasa. And we'll always give you time if that's your plan for today. Let's raise the right leg high, bend the right knee and open up through the hip. So we'll start now to bring our attention down into those two amazing joints, our hips. Extend that leg high. And as you exhale, come all the way forward to set that foot between your thumbs. Dropping the back heel to the earth, we'll rise high. Warrior one. And in Warrior One, my friends, keep your feet flat. Let your arms come behind. And we'll place two fists down on our glutes. So we want to press down like we're lowering our hips, but then lift your chest up away from your hips that are pressing down. See if that gives you a little more interesting access to your left hip flexors. Elbows hug back, shoulders hug back, chest lifts forward. Breathe deeply. Release your hands, sweep high, inhale. Exhale, hands to mat, down dog. Let's kick that right leg high again and give it a nice big shake. Shifting forward, come into plank pose on one foot, and you can hold here and just feel all of that strength and stability. Or if you'd like, lower halfway. And then just place your toes down, come to upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. Left leg raises high, bend the knee, open through the hip. Give attention to this left side. Nice. Coming through, set that foot to the mat. Back heel drops, rising up, warriors. Feet flat. Bring your hands to your glutes, literally pressing the glutes down to lift the rib cage up. How can I open myself to this moment, this breath, this posture, this living on my feet? Breathe. Open. Releasing the hands high. Stretch up. Exhale, hands to mat. Down dog with the left leg lifting high. Give it a shake. You can just stay there or shift forward. A one-legged plank. You can stay here or lower down. Lots of choices. A lot of ways to be in your body. Opening to this. Let's take our feet wider, the width of our mat, and our hands back about a hand length. Let your right hand come to the outside of your left ankle and pull. You're going to pull with your right hand and push with your left hand. You're in an upside down triangle. Right hand pulls, left hand pushes. See if you can feel opposition of pulling and pushing. You guys are all looking at your screen like, what? Switch sides. Right hand to the floor, left hand through. So left hand is pulling on the right ankle. It's like twister. Right hand on the earth pressing. And coming back to down dog, feet closer together. Look forward, step or hop to the top of the mat. Half lift, forward fold. With a bend in the knees, sweep the arms high, extended mountain. And as your hands come to your heart, pause. Sink down into chair pose, arms reach high. Exhale, forward fold. Half lift to downward facing dog. On the inhale, raise your right leg and you can stay here or you can float through vinyasa, your choice. Let's exhale to step the foot between the thumbs. We'll come back to warrior one. We'll find a new heart opener. So this time, elbows bend like cactus arms, 90-degree bend. Opening up through your chest. Stretching the hips. Take a deep breath in here. And on the exhale, let your body come over your front leg. Touch your elbows in front of you. Movement with breath. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open, arms reach high. Exhale, hands to mat, downward facing dog. Stay or flow. Left leg comes high. Stepping through, we'll drop our back heel. Rising up, warrior one, second side. Cactus your arms. Open your chest. And with your feet firm, let's start to move with breath. And remember, this is a moving meditation. Notice the tendency of the mind to label this as too hard or too hot or anything other than what it is, which is movement with breath. A moving meditation here and now. Inhale to open, reach high, find the fingertips touching the sky. And on the exhale, downward facing dog. Your choice, stay or flow. Nod your head yes, shake your head no. On your next inhale, move forward again to the top of your mat, hands to shins, lift halfway. And as we exhale, hands on the back of the legs, pull into a deeper stretch. Pause. Feel and breathe right here. This sensation. How can I open myself to this? With a bend in the knees, arms reach high, Utkatasana, chair pose. Hands come to heart center. Shifting forward, twist to your right side. Elbow touches knee, hand presses down. Try to keep your knees in line with each other. Breathe in and breathe out. Come back to center and switch. Left side, chair twist. And as we exhale, fold forward, slowly rise, extended mountain. Bring the thumbs together overhead and let your arms reach you up and back. Up and back. And then just begin to move from side to side. Lateral movement. One more time, each direction. Good, and then just slowly let your arms peel open. Like take that time, peel open the front of your body. Nice. With your hands at the crease of your hips, help yourself into a forward fold. And we'll bring the hands to the mat, come to a tabletop position, and draw your right foot forward. We'll start to move more deeply into our hips, and this is where if you do have blocks, actually if you have two blocks, this is going to be a nice use of your blocks. If not, one is going to be just fine, and you'll just keep your left hand on that block. So we're here in this kneeling lunge position, starting to feel open through the front of our hip flexor. And the block or blocks can be on any side. We're going to look for chest opening in this one. So we'll start to come up, and the block can come on its higher side, a little closer to your hip, so you have something to push to or push against. A little support as you come into this length of your spine. And you might explore with that block just coming back a little farther, how that feels to wrap shoulders onto your back. The effort is lifting more than dumping. You can just kind of keep walking those hands back a little farther behind you. If you're doing this practice on your own at home, having two chairs here on either side of you is a really nice little assist. You can try it at a later point. Feel that opening, give it time. And then as we come forward, you can bring your block or your blocks with you, and let's extend our hips back to find our hamstring of that opposite leg. Long exhales. And we'll begin just moving forward and back, switching our attention from a hip flexor to a hamstring. We're going to progress from here into the splits today. And just know that that's different for every body. And so this could be your splits today, just working your body back and forth. If you'd like to try something a little more like the splits, bring your block or blocks back, slide your back knee farther back, and come into something that's maybe like a halfway there to the splits for you. Your hip flexor and your hamstring both stretching. And depending on the way your hips are built, you might be able to extend your front leg and come into more of a flatter split. This really has more to do with the bony structure of your body than it does your flexibility. Some of us just have deeper hip sockets than others. But we'll just stay here for a moment and explore the possibility of opening to this moment. That might mean opening to discomfort. It might mean opening to the struggle of what now presents. It might mean opening ourselves to not compare or compete, but rather just experience what our body has for us today. Breathe. Find and feel. So there is no graceful way out of this in my experience. So I kind of like to just fall to one side or inch the body back in. We'll move the block or blocks out of the way. Come to downward facing dog. Shake your right leg out. Give it some movement. And replace that foot to the floor. And take a vinyasa if you like. That same foot, right foot, will come forward. Let's just see what we created there as we come up into high lunge. See if it feels like those buds open just a little bit, if there's any more ability to expand and find some spaciousness around your hips. With the hands coming to the heart, we'll shift our body forward and twist to the right side. Top hand presses. Lift a little higher on your back toes and turn to look over your right shoulder. And as we release, the fingertips come to the floor. Step your back foot to meet your front foot. And hang out here, noticing the difference between your right hip and your left hip. The left foot stays where it is, the right foot comes back, knee drops to the earth. And you know we're here a while, so go ahead and prop up, grab a block or blocks. If you're in your weight room, you can use dumbbells turned on their sides. Grab your puppies, your kids, something to help you here. So we always approach hip flexors with patience. We're asking them to do opposite of what they've been doing the other 23 hours of our day. So let's begin by drawing the body into a more upright position. You can bring your hands to your knee if you don't have any props. And then the work of just lifting up and leaning back a little. Finding a little more of a back bending pose with this hip opener. Always honoring any points of pain. When we experience sharp pain, that's a great reason to back up a bit, listen, to adjust. Shoulders squeeze onto the back, push your chest forward. And then we'll start to bring ourselves forward again with hands either on the floor or a block, and then shifting back into that hamstring length. Exhale. Open up that hand, open up that hamstring. And then let's start to move with breath forward and back. And here's where you get to choose if your body just wants to continue this nice flowy movement, or if you're interested in something that's a little bit more like a split where one leg is forward and one leg is back. You've got time to choose the entry point and then to deepen if and when your body is ready for that. Every body is different. All of our hip sockets are built differently. How can I open myself up to this moment, to this invitation, to this experience? What is pulling me away from here, from this, from my life? My life experience right now is this yoga pose. What pulls me away from my life right now? And can I discipline myself enough to be here in the discomfort? Or maybe it's in the joy. Deep breath in. Sigh out. Begin your graceful transition out of this posture. We'll move into downward facing dog and we'll shake that left leg out. That ought to feel good. If you'd like, you can take a vinyasa. And when you feel ready, we'll meet with our left foot at the top of the mat, rising up into high lunge. High lunge. And just see what got built there in your hips. The fascia release, did the muscles release? The hands come to heart center, shifting over the front leg, and then rotate. You want to come way up high on those back toes. Let your back leg be long and lifted. Let your breath be deep and full. And we'll release the hands to the mat. Step the back foot to meet the front foot, and we'll check in one more time now. Right hip, left hip. Do they even out? Let's walk our feet back just enough that we can find a tabletop position. Bringing your block or blocks or props with you, we're going to move into an assisted version of camel, which is really an amazing heart opener. So standing on our knees, toes are tucked. We're going to bring our blocks just right here to the side of us if we have blocks, and so our fingertips can rest there. But let's begin the way we always do, by pressing hands to hips. And we'll just let the hips sink forward a little bit. Noticing the length from the middle of the quads up to about the bottom ribs. Psoas, lifting and lengthening. And for some of you, especially if you have a back injury or back pain, you're just going to stay right here and breathe. If you'd like to explore a little farther, bring your weight, your hands, onto those props and just start to walk the props backwards. And that might give you access to your heels, but maybe not. This is kind of an almost to the heels posture. And it really invites us to lift through the chest. It supports us as we open the chin away from the chest a bit. Again, if you're practicing at home, you could push pause and grab 2 chairs. To have 2 chairs right here is really delightful in this pose. Breathe and lengthen. Feel and experience. Bring ourselves back up to center. Allow ourselves down onto our heels. And if that doesn't feel good to your knees, sit on one of your blocks or your pillow. That'll give you a little bit more knee support. Arms behind the body. Touch your fingers to your elbows if you can, or maybe just grab your forearms. Close your eyes and sense the beating of your heart, your open heart, your expanded heart. Your caring and compassionate heart. Your heart that maybe has been protected. Your heart that might be ready to blossom. We'll release our hands. And we're going to move into pigeon pose, another opening, this one for the hips. So drawing the right knee to the right wrist, scooting the left knee back. You can stay up high or melt down low. And if this doesn't feel great to your body, there's always this seated version, figure 4, or lying down on your back, creating a figure 4. This is not the most knee-friendly pose, but it is a hip-friendly pose. You can place your head on a block, on your hands, or on the floor. I'm going to invite you to be here for several breaths. Another question we can ask ourselves. What is the unlived life that is calling to you? What is the unlived life that is calling you? Have you been living present, moment by moment, in your body, inhabiting your life? Or have you been elsewhere? Running, busy, doing, avoiding maybe. Maybe the unlived life is right here, under our skin, in our breath. And pressing up onto our hands, lifting and lengthening through the spine. You can stay just like this, or if you like, you can bend your back knee and reach one of your hands back to find a little bit more through the hip flexor and quadriceps. As we release that, lift your spine just a little bit taller. Exhale all the way down to the earth. Plant your hands, tuck your back toes, and sweep that leg high, moving it all around and shaking it out. And as we come back to downward facing dog, we'll drop the knees and slide the left knee into pigeon. Adjusting so that the knee feels safe. You might place something under your hip here. Or again, take a seat or lie on your back. Find your version of pigeon as we lower down, maybe to a block, maybe to the floor. Find your resting place here. Find your breath right here. Find your purpose right here. And our breath is calling us back home. We've been wandering too long. Our body wants us to come back, to move back in, inhabit this landscape. Maybe we can come home to a place with open windows, airy spaces, bright rooms, fresh air blowing. We'll start to find our way back up to hands or fingertips. And either just stay here to feel the length in your right hip flexor or bend the knee. If you'd like, find a bind. If that doesn't feel good, you're just going to stay here and feel the length of the hip flexor. If you've got that leg up, go ahead and let it come down. Lift high, lengthen the spine, and then slowly bow forward. Hands pressed to mat, tuck the back toes and sweep your left leg up. Give it some new, fresh blood supply, ease of movement. And we'll bring ourselves back to down dog. And dropping again the knees to the mat, sliding our hips to one side, we'll bring our legs around into a seat. Clearing the flesh out from under you. Those of you that have been using your block, there are a couple things we can do here. We're going to go into a forward fold, and one idea is you could place something under your knees to support bent knees. It kind of feels good. If you have a pretty deep forward fold and or long arms, you can bring your block to the bottom of your feet. All right, so just coming from the hips, let's lean forward with a long spine and come into any expression of this forward fold that your body is looking for today. The breath moving around the lower back, through the hamstrings, the calves, Achilles tendons. Let yourself sigh and exhale. Good, and returning to a seat. Let's go ahead and lower ourselves down to the earth. With our knees bent, we'll finish today with bridge pose, one more opening across the front of the body. So fingertips reaching toward the heels, hips lift up. That's an easy entry point. If you'd like, interlace your fingers and start to snuggle your shoulders underneath you. Press into your feet, let your hips open and expand forward and up. Now really exaggerate some breath. Let these breaths be more powerful, more intentional. Let your belly move with breath. One more really exaggerated inhale. And on the exhale, we'll release our hands, we'll lower our backs to the earth. Just let your legs extend, reaching your heels toward the bottom corners of your mat. Let your arms open wider today than they normally do. Palms up. A resting pose, a posture of opening and receptivity. Close your eyes. Find your breath. How can I open to this moment, this experience, this heartbeat, and this breath? Begin to take some deeper breaths. And just finding any kind of gentle, tender movement that begins to bring you back to a seat, a completion. Might keep your eyes closed to help you just maintain another moment of this internal focus, this inner way of being. And then let's just bring our hands to our hearts, this gesture of gratitude. I'd like to end today with just an acknowledgement that while yoga is so good for us, it's such an act of self-care. At the end of the day, I believe we do yoga for each other. I believe this practice of coming back to ourselves and opening is so that we can be better with each other in the world. So I'll leave you today with the words of Cesar Chavez, who says, if we are really honest with ourselves, we must admit that our lives are all that really belong to us. So it is how we use our lives that determines what kind of persons we are. It is my deepest belief that only by giving our lives do we find life. I'm convinced that the truest act of courage, the strongest act of humanity, is to sacrifice ourselves for something higher, that which we believe in and love deeply. So thank you for taking this time to care for yourself and thus care for each other and the world. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Namaste.